There's a moment in every transformation when fear strikes hardest. Not at the start, but right after something inside you clicks. Right after the meditation that opens your heart. After the moment you finally feel aligned with your future self. After realizing something has shifted, when it feels like you've cracked the code, suddenly, the fear creeps back in. Thoughts start racing. Your nervous system kicks into gear. Your body tenses up. You doubt everything. You feel like you're moving backward. But this is where most people misinterpret what's happening. Because what you're feeling isn't failure. It's friction between your old identity fading and your quantum self coming through. Most assume alignment means constant calm, that once you match your dream reality's frequency, everything else will come easily. But quantum shifts don't work that way. In fact, the more powerful the timeline you're entering, the harder your survival instinct fights against it. This is biology clashing with consciousness. Your body's job is to keep you safe based on past experience. But manifestation requires breaking familiar patterns and stepping into uncertainty. Your nervous system isn't rejecting your dream. It's responding to unfamiliar signals that challenge its control. Just like muscles resist when stretched beyond their limits, your subconscious resists when stretching into a new identity. And that's not weakness. That's evidence you're growing. This is where most people shrink back to their old selves, not because they're unprepared, but because they mistake this resistance. It's a signal to recalibrate, not retreat. A call to steady your frequency, not because something's wrong, but because something's working. And here's the truth nobody shares. Fear doesn't mean you're off course. Fear, when observed without judgment, is a sign of transformation. It's the residue of an old self, making way for the new. Let's go deeper. According to quantum physicist Amit Goswami, the quantum self isn't confined by time, space, or personal history. It's a field of infinite potential, a part of you already aligned with your highest truth. But to access it, you must focus possibilities into reality through conscious observation. And that observation must be clear, undistorted by fear, panic, or the need to control outcomes. That's why emotional regulation isn't just healing work. It's the bridge between where you are and the version of you already living your desired reality. Joe Dispenza explains this perfectly. Your body reacts to thoughts as if they're real. Fearful thoughts trigger survival mode. Thoughts aligned with your future prompt your body to adapt. But this shift isn't immediate. There's a gap where your body still craves old chemistry, even as your mind chooses change. That's the transition. The sacred discomfort, the space between identities, where your nerves pull you backward and your soul urges you forward. Here's the truth. Alignment doesn't mean no fear. It means seeing fear not as danger, but as departure. You're leaving behind a familiar identity, even if it limited you. You're rewiring old neural pathways. You're escaping the gravity of who you've been. And fear isn't a red light. It's proof you're moving. So when fear interrupts your progress, don't reset. Don't doubt your worth. Don't force fake positivity. Just pause. Breathe. Witness the fear without becoming it. Remember, your quantum self has already arrived. Your only job is to stay focused long enough to catch up. This is a new pact with fear, not to destroy it, but to understand and transform it. Next, we'll explore fear's subconscious roots and how to face it without losing your flow. Fear isn't your opponent. It's data. It signals shifts in your energy, changes your old self can't process. But here's the twist. This fear isn't from your quantum self. It's from your conditioned body, trained to equate safety with limits. This is where leaps become real, not in vision boards or meditation, but in your biology. Your nervous system craves familiarity, So even divine alignment feels unsafe when it's new. This isn't self-sabotage. This is survival instinct. Amit Goswami describes the quantum self as the bridge between consciousness and potential. It's not tied to form, but to awareness. And the moment your awareness shifts, through intention, repetition, or heightened emotion, you start accessing that bridge. But that access doesn't always feel blissful. Sometimes it's disorienting, like heat rising in your chest, or tears with no clear cause. Because your body must catch up to your choice, old patterns begin to fracture. The programs running silently start to crash. And that crash, that shaking, that dysregulation, it means the field is receiving a new signal. That's quantum flow in action. Joe Dispenza teaches that by age 35, the subconscious mind controls 95% of who we are. That includes not just habits and beliefs, but also your body's addiction to familiar emotions. So if you've lived in survival mode, hyper-alert, reactive, guarded, even joy will feel threatening. Peace feels foreign. Expansion feels uncomfortable. Your body will crave what it knows, even if what it knows is suffering. This is why people manifesting love often feel unworthy. Why those stepping into abundance panic about loss. Why those calling in freedom suddenly feel adrift. The subconscious isn't resisting you. It's asking, are we safe here? This is the unglamorous spiritual work. Retraining your nervous system to accept peace as normal, to embrace joy without guilt, to breathe into expansion without bracing for collapse. You're not just choosing a new timeline, you're teaching your body to inhabit it. And that demands regulation, not as a chore, but as devotion. It means noticing when your breath shallow, your jaw clenches, your thoughts race, and gently guiding yourself back, not to perfection, but to presence. So let's get practical. When fear surfaces mid-shift, what's your body's first signal? A knotted stomach? Cold hands? A tightening chest? Alignment isn't about ignoring it. It's responding with awareness. Place a hand on your heart. Slow your breath. Whisper, I know you're scared, but we're safe. We're expanding. You don't push fear away. You sit with it. You love it. And through that love, you reclaim your signal. When you do this, something shifts. The fear doesn't vanish. It transforms. It becomes data. It becomes a guide. It proves the leap isn't just in your vision, but in your cells. You're not just imagining change, you're embodying it. And embodiment, unlike fantasy, has weight. It moves through muscle, breath, memory. That's why it takes practice, not force, not perfection, just practice. Now I'd love to hear from you. If you're comfortable, share in the comments. What's the emotion, the sensation, or the pattern that pulls you back when you're on the verge of a breakthrough? When we name it, we reclaim its power. When we share it, we shatter the illusion of isolation. And when we see it in each other, we remember, no one transforms alone. Let's keep going. Next, we'll explore what's hidden beneath the fear, the unconscious patterns, the emotional echoes, the forgotten wounds that surface not to stop you, but to finally be seen. The body resists, yes, but so does the subconscious. Because when you start stepping into a new identity, your mind doesn't just doubt your ability, it dredges up every discarded fragment of self you left behind. This is why quantum leaps often feel like emotional ambushes. You align with abundance, and suddenly old voices whisper, "You're selfish." You try to embody love, and unresolved shame rises like smoke in your chest. You commit to freedom, and guilt tightens in your gut, as if becoming more yourself is a betrayal. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate." This isn't just philosophy, It's the raw experience of shifting timelines. When you enter the quantum field with clarity, you don't just tap into higher potential. You awaken shadow parts wired into your sense of self. They don't want to sabotage you. They want acknowledgement, to be held, to be integrated. In quantum jumping, every leap revives pieces of yourself, silenced by survival. They may appear as fear, self-doubt, jealousy, even anger. Not because you're broken, but because these parts were designed to protect you in a world that no longer exists. They learned to shrink to avoid criticism. They learned to please to escape abandonment. They learned to numb to bypass rejection. Now, as you stretch into new possibilities, those old survival instincts flare up, not to ruin you, but to test if you're truly choosing differently. The test isn't external, it's vibrational. Can you stay centered when your inner child panics? Can you hold your frequency when old wounds reopen? Can you meet discomfort with presence, not performance? This is the real work of consciousness, not masking fear with positivity, but facing it with maturity, gentleness, and honesty. Here's the deepest truth. The shadow isn't dragging you back, it's asking to join you. Those scared, rigid, hurt parts aren't obstacles to your growth. They're the pieces begging to align with it. When you integrate them instead of fighting them, your frequency doesn't just rise, it steadies. You're no longer leaking energy through inner conflict. You're unified, whole, and wholeness is magnetic. Imagine this. You're at the threshold of your desired reality, and fear surges. Most people try to crush it, but you do something radical. You pause, breathe, and say, "I see you. You're welcome here. We're moving forward anyway." In that moment, you're not just leaping, you're leading. And that leadership becomes a signal, a vibration the quantum field recognizes. Because the field doesn't need perfection, it needs clarity. Clarity isn't fearlessness. It's the courage to move with fear, to breathe through it, to carry it gently instead of letting it steer. This is the inner revolution, the shift that lasts. Not because you've erased every shadow, but because you've stopped abandoning them. And that is what makes you worthy of the timeline you're calling in. You're not faking it until you make it. You're healing it until you embody it. That's quantum integrity, and it resonates far beyond words or affirmations. It's in your gaze, your breath, your posture, your presence. And once your presence becomes coherent, once your energy stops warring with itself, the field has no choice but to align around you. That brings us to the most crucial part of the leap, staying in the flow when every instinct wants to retreat. Not forcing, not controlling, but gently recalibrating, continuously, lovingly. That's where we go next. You already know how to visualize, how to set intentions, but the real shift happens when your inner world trembles, and instead of fleeing, you stay. You witness, you feel, and you choose not to collapse. That's the moment you move from being a student of manifestation to embodying quantum presence. Not by purging fear, but by holding space for it until it transforms. Because here's what most miss. Regulation isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about staying aware as they move through you. It's about observing without losing your center. When you remain conscious in discomfort, when you soften instead of tense, when you breathe instead of resist, you send a new signal to your nervous system. You teach your body safety within expansion, and that's the foundation of lasting change. You don't need perfect emotions to stay aligned. You need honesty and self-compassion. Alignment is coherence, not control. It's choosing to tune into the field of your future self, even as the old one whispers fear. This is the balance most overlook. They chase euphoria, thinking high vibes demand constant bliss. But the field responds to consistency, not mood. Your role isn't to be fearless, it's to become fluent in your energy, to notice when your heart closes and gently reopen it, to recognize survival mode reactions and return to trust, to catch the mind stories and anchor back in the truth of your breath. In these small, repeated choices, your new reality forms. The quantum field doesn't run on time, it runs on frequency. Your desired timeline isn't far in linear distance, it's a vibrational shift. And that shift often happens subtly, in moments when you choose breath over reaction. It's in how you rise from your chair, how you answer a harsh message, how you straighten your spine when doubt whispers. These aren't trivial details. They're entries in the vibrational code you're broadcasting. Let's make this real. Imagine you're mid-leap. You've practiced visualization, you've cultivated presence. Then a trigger hits, a memory, a setback, a comment. Your gut clenches, your chest caves, thoughts spiral. Here, you face a sacred choice. Collapse into the old timeline or pause. Take a deep breath in, let it out slowly, and remind your body, we're not going back. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, we are safe, we are growing, and I choose to stay. This is how quantum flow becomes your natural state, not by fighting your waves, but by learning to ride them. When your body tenses, you soften. When fear tugs at you, you return to center. You don't push emotions away. You feel them fully without losing your connection. In doing this, you become more than a manifester. You become a transmitter, a stabilizer of timelines, a creator of order in a chaotic world. When you choose to steady yourself instead of withdraw, your energy draws others in, your path stabilizes, and the quantum field responds not just to your wanting, but to your commitment. If you've come this far with us, if these words meet you where you are, and you sense something genuine shifting within as you listen, then consider joining this space by subscribing. This isn't just content, it's a transmission. And you're not just observing, you're taking part in your own transformation. Let's keep going. In the final part of this journey, we'll tie it all together. You'll see how everything you've felt, faced, and moved through isn't pulling you away from alignment. It's honing it. The truth is, you're already closer than you realize. You've come through, not just through this video, but through something far bigger. Your own inner resistance, that quiet barrier between who you were told to be and who you're becoming. Even if it didn't feel explosive, even if there were no grand revelations or emotional upheavals, you still changed. Because every time you picked presence over panic, openness over armor, breath over shutdown, you leaped. And quantum leaps are seldom loud. They happen most in silence, in the quiet choice to stay aligned, no matter what. There's a myth that growth is a straight line, that once you've learned, you'll never stumble. But stumbling isn't failing, it's guidance. It's the universe reminding you that your work isn't to avoid being human, but to move through it with greater awareness. Alignment isn't a fixed destination. It's an ongoing dance between your attention and your energy. Some days it's effortless, some days it falters. What matters is that you keep coming back, again, and again, and again. Because returning is the ritual. Returning is the leap. And the more you return to your quantum self signal, the more natural it feels. Not because the fear disappears, but because fear no longer steers. You do. By now, you've likely realized the version of you living the life you want was never far off. That version wasn't waiting in another country or another era. It was pulsing on a different frequency, right here, right now. And every time you regulate, breathe, and choose your new vibration, that version draws nearer. Not as a daydream, but as your lived reality. This is true transformation. Not through force, not through perfection, but by practicing truth amid chaos. By remembering who you are when your past tries to reclaim you. By honoring the version of you that sees past fear and still says, "We keep going." And when you do keep going, when you refuse to quit your shift just because fear grows louder, you become something extraordinary. You become reliable, not to others, but to the field itself. The universe starts answering your steadiness. It meets you with fresh clarity, with synced opportunities, with sudden openings. Because now your signal isn't fractured by inner conflict. It's clear, it's magnetic, it's yours. There's no timeline you don't belong in, no frequency too distant to grasp. The quantum field doesn't hoard possibilities. It reflects what you embody. So if you are hearing this now, and part of you still questions whether it's working, let this be your sign. It is. Every time you pause instead of spiral, breathe instead of tense, witness instead of react, you dissolve another loop. You shed another old habit. And that's the leap. You're not behind, you're not damaged, you're not too slow. You're moving, you're recalling, you're unfolding. So pause now and acknowledge that. To relax your body, to exhale fully, to root back into your timeline. Not with clawing need, but with quiet dedication. And perhaps, just perhaps, you'll sense it. The faint current of a new reality buzzing just beneath your skin. The quiet thrill of choosing alignment when every instinct screams to flee. That's your signal. That's your quantum self already sustaining the frequency for you. So what next? You persist. You let it grow. You let it settle. And when the next surge of fear arrives, and it will, you won't be startled. You'll be prepared. Not to battle it, but to breathe through it, to move with it, to keep your signal unwavering until the field answers again. And it will. Because once you shift from reaction to regulation, from chaos to coherence, from survival to presence, the leap stops being an idea. It becomes your existence.